meant to believe that once Donald Trump assumes office, then there will be no more chaos, there will be no more sorrows, the world will be full of love, peace, and unity. But immediately after Donald Trump assumed office, the promises which he had made seems not to work anymore. He had promised that the war between Russia and Ukraine would end within 24 hours. Immediately he assumes office. And after he assumed office, the war in Ukraine seems not to end. It seems to be kind of rejuvenating Nanda again. So Donald Trump recently promised he is going to add more aid to the Ukrainian government, which will ensure that Ukraine continue fighting and also defending themselves. There is an argument which has been made that Donald Trump asked why the Ukrainian government has not struck deep inside Russia, that is St. Petersburg and Moscow. And Vladimir Zelensky explained to him that they are not in a position to strike because they don't have the needed equipments, they don't have the needed weapons which would enable them to strike deep inside Russia. But they have managed to strike Nanda again using kind of weird drones to strike deep inside Moscow. So Donald Trump is using the tactic of enabling Ukraine to strike inside Russia for such that this will scare the Russians such that they can come into the table to have a peace deal. But as usual, the Russians are not ready to be sold that lie. They are not ready to be threatened, and they are forced to fight to the last minute. Vladimir Putin has said that if his terms and conditions are not rigid, he will continue fighting to the last minute. And this ensures that Russia is in a good position to grab more land. They are in a position to fight more. They are capable of producing weapons, missiles, whatever which they need to fight against the Ukrainians. We need to understand that Russia has been fighting for the longest time since 2022, despite the Ukrainian government being supported by the European Union, the likes of Germany, Britain, and many other countries which are in the European Union. And also the United States of America used to support the Ukrainian government. Biden ensured that he is going to supply weapons to the Ukrainian government so that it will ensure the fall of Russia. But Russia seems to emerge stronger. There is a time when its economic capability was even more powerful than Germany and other European nations. So for those individuals who are wishing for the fall of Russian government and the misery of the Russian people, they are probably misread. So that's why Donald Trump is seen as an individual who is so frustrated, because there was this kind of narrative which was circulating all over news outlets that Donald Trump was intending to win the Nobel Peace Prize winner. But if you see what Donald Trump has done of recent, then you may wonder, was it really so serious? Because we need to understand Donald Trump went ahead and bombed the Iranian government and the Iranian people. He went ahead and gave an okay to the Israeli regime, that is the Zionist regime, to bomb the Iranians. What has been ongoing in Gaza has been enabled by Donald Trump, because he is one of those individuals who was entertaining this idea of acquiring the land of the Palestinians and making it a kind of a resort, a beachfront where foreigners, people from all sorts of life would go and enjoy. So Donald Trump is not that individual who is there to ensure world peace. Is there also to ensure that his self-interests are fulfilled, his self-interests are realized. We need to understand also Donald Trump's kind of net worth has increased immediately as he entered office, because there are favors which are given to him, because he's in an office which kind of needs to give out favors also, and people need to return those favors. So Donald Trump has kind of failed miserably when it comes to Russia. The Russians have said they are going to strike back so hard if the United States of America happens to give the Ukrainians those weapons which would strike Russian cities, the likes of Moscow and St. Petersburg. And as we have seen, Russia is capable. Russia is not Iran. Russia is not Libya. Russia is not a kind of a third world countries which would be bullied here and there like these sub-Saharan African countries, Asian countries which are not able to defend themselves are being bullied. What are your thoughts in the comment section? Will Russia kind of cringe because Donald Trump wants to give weapons to the Ukrainian people, or they are going to strike so hard the Ukrainians but that they may end up grabbing more land, acquiring more land, and more lives being lost in this war? As we all understand, in a war, in a conflict, no one emerges as a winner, even though individuals may say that we are winners, kind of that rhetoric, but at the end of the day, nobody emerges as a winner when it is in war times. I would like your thoughts. See you in my next one.